What happens when a polished daytime host tries to keep it civil, and a royal brings the palace pride with none of the protocol? What started as a standard daytime segment with Tamron Hall transformed into something far more explosive. Prince Harry, the Duke who renounced the palace, arrived with charm, posture, and quiet authority, but also a simmering edge that no camera could hide for long. You know, as Tamron Hall welcomed her guest, the studio glowed with warmth and expectation. She was the picture of daytime composure, square shoulders, open palms, a voice soft enough to make anyone open up. "Your Royal Highness Prince Harry, thank you for being here," she said. With a gracious smile and a subtle wink, she diffused the formality. Harry entered to generous applause, tailored, calm, collected. His smile had the polish of someone trained to win rooms, yet behind it was something more guarded. When he sat down, adjusted his cuff, and offered a faint nod, the message was clear. He was here to lead the room, not just charm it. Tamron opened with Safe Ground, Harry's Foundation, a new veterans initiative, and an upcoming docuseries on resilience. Harry answered with polished sound bites and smooth delivery, circling through themes of service, cultural shift, and truth-telling. Eh? "You've used your platform to speak about mental health. What made you go public?" Tamron asked. Harry's smile chilled a degree. "I wouldn't reduce it to a moment. It's a continuum. Leadership means sharing that understanding." Tamron nodded. "Leadership can be lonely. How do you balance privacy with your visibility? Privacy isn't absence. It's authorship," Harry replied. "That seems to confuse people." A murmur from the crowd? Fair point, Tamron acknowledged. Still, some may wonder if authorship can become control. For example, the book, Harry exhaled through his nose. Not quite a laugh. "We're not doing the book again, are we?" "It's been answered." "People read it because it mattered. They did," Tamron replied. "And because they did, they have questions. You've said it was about healing. Do you feel healed? Healing isn't a destination. I'm certainly ahead of anyone still asking if it was worth it." It landed like a subtle jab. The room shifted. "Ew. Let's talk impact," Tamron transitioned. "Have public choices complicated private relationships? My private relationships are private because I choose that. Complication comes when people narrate them on daytime TV. Soft velvet, sharp point. Tamron absorbed it. "Understood. Let's stay with what you do narrate. You've criticized the British press and the palace. Anything you'd do differently?" Harry leaned back. "Truth insists. Sometimes that's how things must be handled. And when truth insists," Tamron followed, "do you ever worry it also wounds? Truth doesn't wound. Hypocrisy does." The audience tensed. Some viewers are confused by service and brand. Streaming deals. Speaking tours. How do you define service now? Service is outcomes, not optics. A deal that funds programs is service. I'm not sure why that's difficult. Sincere question, Tamron replied. People associate royalty with duty, not business. And Tamron, he cut in softly but cold. If people are comfortable, nothing important is changing. Discomfort is the tax of progress. The audience stirred. So how do you respond to those who say you're taxing family trust? Those people aren't in my family. And reconciliation doesn't begin with silence from the harmed. The air grew heavier. You said institutions rarely apologize first, Tamron said. If they did, what would it need to say? Harry took a beat. It would need to say, "We were wrong because we were invested in a version of you that served us. We're sorry we punished you for choosing yourself." Deign the soft applause, and if it never comes, then I keep choosing myself. I've learned to do that better than most. Back from commercial, Tamron stayed poised. "Let's talk accountability," You've asked it of others. What does it look like pointed at you? It looks like outcomes. Lives changed. Conversations deepened. And when people ask about facts, names, timelines, no, people who deserve receipts know where to find them. Gasps. Tamron didn't blink. You know? Let's bring clarity to those who don't know where to look. Harry smiled flatly. Clarity needs good faith. I hope we have that. We always try, Tamron said. The stage was still, but the tension hummed. Back from break, Tamron pressed further. You've asked for accountability. Do you hold yourself to the same? Some call your message contradictory, contradictions. You mean when media frames my life before I speak? That's projection, not contradiction. But it's not just media. People note the call for privacy alongside public disclosures. Yeah, the privacy paradox, Harry replied. Privacy is choosing what you share. If people can't grasp that, it's on them. Murmurs. Maybe it's tone, Tamron offered. The way it's communicated. Maybe the issue isn't tone, Harry shot back. Maybe it's that someone like me no longer plays along. I've earned the right not to pander? Audience gasped softly. Tamron's expression didn't flinch. You know, do you ever worry this defensiveness alienates supporters? If someone's so fragile that honesty offends them, they were never true supporters. Silence. Connection matters. Tamron tried. Do you underestimate how your words land? Yeah. People spend too much time on how things land, not enough listening to what's said. If the goal is healing, Tamron asked, why focus on past grievances? I call it truth. If that's uncomfortable, ask why. Harry's tone turned cutting. Do you see a future reconciliation with your family? You know, reconciliation isn't a public performance. Obsession with my family says more about others than it does about me. Yeah. Audience grew restless, strong perspective, Tamron offered. Yes, strong and unapologetic. People can't talking about me. The line fell flat. Polite applause lights blinked. Few responded. Tamron recalibrated. Your story? Is it enhancing your advocacy or overshadowing it? My story is the advocacy. People don't tune in for speeches. They tune in for me. Some might call that self-important. They'd be right. It is important. Without me, there is no movement. The audience groaned softly. You say you're the movement. What about your wife? Foundation team? They follow my lead. No spotlight without me. The room deflated. That's quite a statement, Tamron said. You criticize the press but use their platform. Where's the line between critique and hypocrisy? Hypocrisy? Please. The press created me. They don't own me. I use them now. Silence. Tamron's expression cooled. You don't see contradiction in condemning the press while profiting from them? Eh? Harry leaned forward. Do you see contradiction in hosting a ratings-based show and calling it journalism? The room gasped. Tamron sat still. I've built this career on respect. I don't ambush my guests or insult them. Harry smirked. And yet, here we are. Tamron dropped the smile. You've spoken about protecting your family. But by airing private matters, haven't you endangered them? Wrong question. Ask why I should protect those who never protected me. Gasps. Tamron's composure slipped. That's painful. For you and them, painful, yes, but true. And I won't apologize for truth. Tamron leaned in. Truth matters. So does humility. Do you ever wonder if your tone costs you empathy? Empathy is overrated. Respect matters. And if people can't respect me, their empathy was worthless. Silence. Tamron looked down, then back. Maybe, but respect is earned. You may be forgetting that. Or maybe the world isn't ready for me. A storm brews. You talk truth and respect. Tamron fired back. But what I hear is entitlement. What I see is a man who lost the room, gasps. Harry's smirk faded. The room never mattered to me. No, you're here to lecture, to dismiss. And I'm done with it, camera pans. Stillness. Because I didn't bow to your script? You know? No, Harry. Because every answer dripped with arrogance. This isn't service. It's ego, applause. You don't know what I've survived. No. But I know arrogance when I see it. And this stage isn't the palace. It's my show. Are you saying I don't deserve respect? And I'm saying it's not a birthright. And tonight you didn't earn it. Harry opened his mouth, closed it. This interview is over, Tamron said. Security, please show our guest out, gasp. Then eruption. Harry stood, flushed. You'll regret this. No, Harry. What's outrageous is thinking the rules don't apply to you. He stormed off. Mic tossed. Door slammed. Tamron faced the crowd. Sometimes conversations take attack. Court ass. Conversations take turns we don't expect. But on this show, respect is not optional. Standing ovation. Prince Harry arrived looking to control the narrative. Instead, he left stripped of it. What was meant to be a civil dialogue became one of the most explosive moments in daytime television. Tamron Hall didn't just hold the line. She drew one in permanent ink. Did she go too far? Or was she right to finally call him out? Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit like, spike subscribe, and stay tuned. The next showdown might be even bigger.